Tell me how you got your job at HP.
The crazy thing is I interviewed with the manager. He loved me. Then it was time to interview with his team members. I met with 2 of them, interviewed. They loved me. I met with another. It didn't go so well. Fast forward to maybe like a week later, the recruiter calls me back and he was like, Brittney, I've never seen anything like this before. The hiring manager that initially, found you and fell in love with your resume, he's coming here to Houston. He wants to meet you. So I went and I met him, and I actually met the guy who
Call didn't go well with.
Probably. He said, Brittney, in so many words, I like you. I feel that you extend the qualities of someone who, belongs here at HP. And he showed up with a list of roles for me to check out. So he literally took time out of his day, and I applied to like 3 roles. So I interviewed for this second role. I went through the whole process, and then I finally got feedback, and I learned that he really liked me. And the recruiter, she called me back and she was like, they like you. In short, we're going to extend an offer. So I'm like, okay, yes, I'm excited.
Welcome back to another episode of the Custom Journeys podcast. I'm Andrew Baines, back with another great guest today. Today we are joined by Brittney Waiters. How you doing, Brittney?
I'm excellent. How are you?
Doing great. So it took a lot of work for us to get here today. Brittney had to overcome a flat tire on 288. A lot of other circumstances, technical difficulties, but we here. So I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. So really excited. We've been getting a lot of requests about cybersecurity. So we have a cybersecurity expert who can kind of break down what she does as a cybersecurity engagement lead, a cybersecurity engagement lead at HP. Talk about her journey from IT into cybersecurity, and then even before that in marketing into IT and cybersecurity. So really excited about today's guest. Y'all know what the routine is, right? I'm gonna ask y'all to subscribe. So if you haven't yet, please make sure you do that. Brittney also has a YouTube channel, so y'all make sure y'all check that out. Is it B Journey?
It's
B's
Brittney Waiters.
Brittney Waiters?
But it'll be the journey of B.
The journey
That'll
of
be
B?
my hashtag.
All right, cool. So y'all make sure y'all check that out too. But that's enough of that. I'm ready to get into it. I'm really excited to talk to Brittney today and kind of learn about what she does. So I kind of already did the introduction, cybersecurity engagement lead. I keep wanting to say leader. What exactly is that? Like, what does that role entail, and what do you kind of do in your current role?
In short, I pretty much do just that, engage, kind of like the liaison between business and cybersecurity, filling in those gaps, trying to translate a lot from each side's perspective, and just really encouraging them to incorporate cybersecurity earlier on, like in their projects, instead of waiting to the last minute to where we have to be reactive, and more so just encouraging to be, proactive to help with what they have going on.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. So what is like a typical day in the life like for you? Is it, because it sounds like a great opportunity to have like a technical background, but then also speak to like the business side of cybersecurity and HP in general. So like, is it like primarily just meetings? Do you still kind of, I don't even know, like in the cybersecurity world, are you still getting your hands like dirty on the technical side of things, or like what are you kind of doing there?
Not in this role, and I'm grateful for it because I've had my day.
All right.
But no, most of it is meetings. It's meetings, monitoring my inbox, really guiding people, kind of like a bougie concierge, right?
Okay.
But just really, guiding people to the right teams to eliminate like that disconnection and things like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I am curious about one thing. You said trying to get people to realize the importance of cybersecurity early on. I'm not going to ask you to go into the specifics of like a single project unless you want to.
No.
I'm not trying to get you in trouble. But like, is the buy-in pretty strong with people? Like, do they understand the importance of cybersecurity, or can you kind of speak to the importance of it?
Yes. I think in general, everyone, whether they're working in cybersecurity or not, understand just, from high level, cybersecurity is important, whether it's just hacking or whether it's, taking someone else's information, because we've all received letters, over these last couple of years of our information being shared through like all these organizations, right? I think just like any company or any individuals, once you're in the motion of just your day to day, and also from a business perspective, there's a business end of things to where, hey, I am focused on being innovative, focused on a dollar. And a lot of times when you discuss cybersecurity, or incorporate that, it may take a little time, in order for your project to get to a certain point. And sometimes, um, timelines don't align, right?
Yeah.
So it takes incorporation for both parties to be on the same page for the goal. But there's ways to do it. There's ways to, um, have your project, put your project out there and be reactive. But it's always best to be proactive,
Yeah.
because, I mean, it's all types of regulations and fines. And most importantly, I think, is, the perspective from the media and what, the world, how they
Mm.
may perceive, if something is to happen. Personally, that's my thing.
No, I think that's a good point. I remember like these big credit bureaus, a lot of them were having like security breaches, and I'm like, yo, y'all are supposed to be the ones protecting everybody's information, and y'all got
Mhm.
people just
Mhm.
stealing identities left and right. So
Mhm.
I think it's definitely an investment that needs to be made. I'm very curious about how you got into this though. Um, we both attended the University of Texas, San Antonio. Just missed each other,
Mhm.
but you have a background in marketing
Yeah.
and then got into IT.
Mm.
Like, tell me how that happens. Like, what was that? How did that happen? What was kind of like that first job after you graduated from college, but got into like the IT space?
Yeah. So, to be quite honest, me going to school, I was just like, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Of course.
But I was like, okay, well, I'll get the degree, put it under my belt. I'll always business savvy, but I was like, all right, let me just go through the motion. I lean towards marketing. That I didn't want to do finance or anything else. I figured marketing would be fun. But in short, the market was doing something similar. I'm about to, you know, date myself, but the market was doing something similar to what it's doing now. When I graduated college, and well, it was 2008 when I graduated, but the market was doing something similar to what it's doing right now. So at that time, marketing was not what it is today.
Okay.
The marketing budgets, they weren't there, and a lot of times those roles for marketing weren't either. So I had to pivot. And working in San Antonio, I was at home, and I was like, all right, the first opportunity was me working at a call center for Chase. But the role itself and its title, it was risk analyst, right?
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, but in reality, um, it was risk analyst, but we're sitting there. It was related to claims, related to transactions for debit cards
Yeah.
and check forgery. But I mean, it was risk,
Hmm.
right? So I'm like, all right, I will sit here. I will work this job, and God, you move me when it's time. Continue to apply, and I found another job working at the Hartford, and that was still underneath risk, but it was more so the transactions of small business claims. If it was something that was requiring much detail, then I would have to use my analytical savviness and determine whether or not that it was approved or denied,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I was there, and I was like, all right, I've graduated college. I'm here at home in San Antonio. I got this degree, and it's not given, right? So I continued to network, and my cousin introduced me to one of her friends, who is now a good friend to me, and he was working at Shell doing oil and gas, and at that
Okay.
time, people just made like a big deal of it. Oil and gas, that's where the money is
Everybody.
at. Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh-huh. So I was like, well, let me see how I can get on and get over there. So I continued to ask and beg, and his a manager that he knew, she gave me an opportunity to interview, and she probably, maybe she will, maybe she won't see it, but if she does, at that time I didn't live there, but I told her that I did. I didn't live in Houston, but I was
Okay.
like, I live in, I already live here or
Yeah.
whatever, but she probably knew. She was such a sweetheart. And she gave me an opportunity. So what I did was I took that experience, took the opportunity to interview at Shell, And I transitioned my risk experience to this new role at Shell, and the official title is Logical Access Administrator. And it
Okay.
pretty much was granting and removing access. But what it introduced me to like all the regulations and the Enron situation, and just really understanding what that really meant.
Yeah.
It introduced me to governance and understanding that component underneath that umbrella of IT and why we had to do it. It introduced me to audits and what that process was like. It
Yeah.
introduced me to a lot. That Amal, which was my manager at the time, giving me that opportunity, like that really, was a stepping stone for me to pivot.
Repeat the title for me again at Shell.
IT logistical admin, but basically an admin, granting and removing access.
Okay, to like
Yeah.
Shell's network. So let's say I'm a new hire and I need to get access to Shell's
application.
Application, all this stuff. Then you kind of help set that up for everybody and make sure people have the right permissions and things like that.
Right. Not the access to like get on a computer.
Yeah.
That's like what someone would consider as traditional IT, but more so like the applications that the organization may use. And then also, depending on what role they are, we would have to determine like, were there any conflicts on us granting that role, making sure you can't write in, cash the check, right?
Yeah.
And just making sure that we're compliant and doing that. So going behind on the back end of some of these applications and, figuring out what that means on within it, whether it's code or whatever that process is.
Yeah.
Or and if it's above us, collaborating with developers to execute it. But yeah.
Okay. Neat. Hey, so I'm curious, UTSA, I love it. Great school, all that stuff. But I can only imagine in the marketing degree, you're not learning none of this stuff. So are you like just learning everything on the job at each one of these locations? Is like that kind of like, what do you think kind of help you land each one of these roles going along? Is it knowing somebody? Like you said, you had a friend that kind of helped connect you and build your network, or is it like you learning certain skills on the job, or what?
I think yes, networking.
Okay.
Networking is extremely important. And then once you do land that job, how you show up there, right?
Yeah.
And just really being able to maximize that. But, I believe the title of your role is important. And the projects that you take on and how you list on your resume is important because you want to be able to translate that to your next role.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I had like 3 internships before, so I even started
nice.
working. Yeah.
Okay. Were they in like the IT space, or were they?
My very first internship, and I'm gonna say it real loud, it was with the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, that's what's up. Big Cowboys fan.
Yes, I don't know what happened at the last game, but we gonna come through.
Yeah, so this is probably gonna air after they make the Super Bowl, so we don't have to talk about that.
That's right. We're gonna speak positive.
Delusional Cowboys fans, as
Zeke
usual.
just heal on the side. We got you.
Yeah. But cool. No, that's exciting. What'd you do for the Cowboys? Marketing or what?
Well,
cool.
They called it marketing, right? And then it was just that, but it was the hard boots on the ground marketing, like the pre and the post during training camp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that whole experience of like setting
It might have
up,
been in San Antonio.
it was at the Alamo Dome.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it was. I'm about to date myself again. So it was during the time of like when T.O. was there.
Okay, so you about how you about?
Oh no, we gonna edit that. But she's in her 30s.
All right, cool. That worked. T.O. about 2007.
She's in. I don't.
Let me stop playing with you. All right, cool. No, that's exciting. Like that would be like a dream job for a lot of people. Like great franchise. Especially for, they have a really big fan base, so that's like a job I would have like loved to have.
Yeah. I wish there was room for me to continue on, but I mean, I think what it has been for me in my journey is a good talking point during my interviews.
Of course.
And of course, the experience will say a lot.
Jerry didn't want to make no offer. He slacked it, man.
I don't know what happened. He missed out.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna have to handle that. All right, but cool. So you landed the job at Shell. That seemed like that was a really big launching point for your career because you seemed like you got a chance to like learn more, get exposed to more. One quick follow up on the technical side of things. IT is probably the one field in the STEM domain that I probably know the least about. On the technical side of things, is it like any coding involved? What is the typical I guess, day in the life?
So it's a huge umbrella, and I think that kind of or could be what overwhelms people when they think about, cybersecurity and IT. But there are parts where there are the developers and people who are code savvy, right? You're talking about like the architecture of certain applications.
Yeah.
But then there's also the umbrella, like I was saying, like the granting and removing, the governance and the risk side of things. But as far as me, like I'm not that deep into it.
I got you.
But it is something that I do see myself, wanting to put underneath my belt, as far as like a cert or something like that as I step into it. But I'm more on the business side now that I
Yeah.
understand on a high level of how things should be moving.
I saw you had a few other stops on your resume, and some of those stops were like USAA, Chevron. But one thing I did notice is that a few of those stops were not necessarily full-time direct hire, but then also contract work. Can you talk about like the decision to do contract work versus direct hire, and then also the pros and cons of each?
Absolutely. So I know when you reached out, I joked, I said, if you would have hit me up maybe about 6 months prior, I wouldn't have been like the happy Brittney, and that's because I was still in that world. But I don't take anything for granted. The reason why I took it on my very first role within it was at Shell, and that was a contract role. Hourly on the surface, yes, it's enticing when you get paid the hourly rate. It's attractive. But at this time, it's pre-COVID, and you also have to consider, you're not getting paid for your days off. You're not getting paid for insurance sometimes, depending on what agency you work for. You're also parking. That was really huge here in Houston downtown, because parking, I mean, that was at least like $150 a month, and especially if you're eating downtown, that was expensive at the time. So
man.
when I say, I hate COVID, even happened, but to be working remotely and having a full-time job, I'm just like, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah. No,
Yes.
that's big.
Yeah.
I think that's something that like sometimes I remember going through like the job boards and looking online and being like, "Dang, I kind of want one of these contract gigs." Like they were like a lot of them were like 50 an hour and up,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, "Yo, I could do that like real quick." And I'm doing the math. I'm like, "Okay, that's 6 figures off the bat."
Mm-hmm.
But not you don't really, especially when you're younger, you don't really take into account like, okay, but then that means either A, I better be married to somebody who has insurance,
Mm-hmm.
or B, I better be willing to like pay this stuff out of pocket on my own. So I could definitely see like the pros and cons there.
Yeah, I forgot what the acronym was. Me and my brother joked about it, my god brother. But yeah, there was no assurance. It was an assurance situation. So, you're paying out of pocket, but, I knew that in that season of my life, I didn't have any kids. I was single. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make sure that if this is what it is, in order for me to get the next step, I knew I had to sacrifice. I was praying for an opportunity full time, but it wasn't landing.
Yeah.
And I knew that although those roles, they weren't full time, as they were leveraging me, I needed to leverage them, and which was the title and the organization. And,
Okay.
I'm actually proud of my resume as far as what it is, as far as my experience that I've learned from different organizations. But I'm even more happier to be where I'm at now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can definitely see that. Like looking at your profile, you got some heavy hitters on there. Like everybody knows Chevron, Shell, USAA,
Mm-hmm.
HP now. So I mean, it's like it seems like it's strategic, and it paid, like you said, you leverage not only yeah, it wasn't ideal in terms of contract, but you leverage those opportunities to kind of move up. So I think that's a smart move that you made on your part.
Yeah.
I like to ask people about money if they're willing to share it. Like as a contractor in your previous roles, not your current role, but like what could somebody expect to make in the IT realm if they're like working contractor?
It depends on. I will say that after COVID, hourly, I was shocked at the calls that I was getting because they shaved it down.
Oh, really?
Prior to COVID, it was common for you to be close to 100 an hour.
100 an hour?
Between 90 and 100.
Girl, let me borrow some money. I thought you was gonna say like 50.
No, I mean, that too.
That's good
Yeah.
though. Okay, that's great.
75, 80,
Yeah.
90. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome, awesome. No, that's good. Um, how long were the contracts typically? Like 9 months, a year, or
A
what?
year.
A
And then
year.
they would renew it.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
That's good.
Mhm.
But you said like COVID kind of went the
Yeah.
opposite.
COVID
I
sliced
wonder why
that.
they cut it back.
Well, okay, well, in short, when you think about it, so the organization itself, they're hiring
Yeah.
these, agencies, and that's your direct employer, right? So
Oh,
there's
yeah.
2 ways you can go about it. You can either do W-2, so that would be your direct employer, or you can do corp to corp. Now, it would be smart, depending on what it is. If you do corp to corp, then most likely you can walk away with more money, or it could be your talking piece. Now, because of COVID, a lot of these agencies, they don't want, or they may not like to do corp to corp because they want to write you off as their employee instead
Mm,
of, taking that dollar amount and just probably paying you off directly. But
mhm.
a lot of these organizations, some of them they do, agencies, some of them still do. But being able to get as much as you used to, you may be able to, but it may depends on, what the field is not as common. So if it's cybersecurity, a lot of organizations are pivoting towards that because everything that we do, incorporates that as, post COVID. So the world is catching up.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah. No, so I know I probably had like a very shocked face when you told me that. I
Well,
was
$100.
Yeah, no, because in my mind I just knew you were gonna say 50. That's why I was like, wait, double what I was thinking?
I mean, that's
Plus
that's that's still a healthy amount.
yeah, yeah, no, for
Yeah.
sure it is. I mean, that's a great living and a lifestyle. It was just like, well, I wasn't expecting you to say
Mhm.
my own assumption was wrong, but I wasn't expecting you to double that. But I think it's great
Mhm.
for the people that are curious about getting into IT. And I know it's so broad that it's kind of hard to pick like one particular job, but if you could like give some advice for somebody that wants to get into the field, what advice would you give them for just starting out to get into IT?
So, when I talk to a lot of people, as far as like managers and other organizations that honestly may want to hire more or bring in more diversity,
Yeah.
they do notice that a lot of people have went during COVID to get their certification, but that's not really the hurdle. The hurdle is really presenting and transferring those skills, right, to show that you're doing what you've been doing or making it more relatable with those transferable skills or really performing that job, right? So if you haven't been performing that role, um, I would say sit down with your resume, invest in yourself, or hire someone if that's not your strength to transition those skills and bring it down to numbers. Because honestly, a lot of these organizations, even though you may not be within cybersecurity, a lot of them are appreciating the skills from other organizations or other roles and different perspective, which kind of really speaks to how I got my role. So don't frown upon, not performing that role or not feeling like you're not seasoned. Just show up as your best self and show what your strengths are and how that could transfer over to that particular role. Another thing, don't be lazy. I was guilty of this, tweak that resume. Each time that you apply,
Mm,
to each role. I know I'm guilty of it. And then I'll be fussing, like, why aren't they calling me back? But in reality, you really do have to tweak it.
gotcha.
Yeah.
No, I think that's great advice across the board, but especially the resume piece, because it's
Mhm.
like if you can at least look at the job description and then look at your resume, they kind of tell you like the answers to the test before
Mhm.
you even give them the resume. So like make sure if they're saying they're looking for somebody with like, I don't know, networking experience or administration experience,
Mhm.
figure out a way that you can connect the dots between your resume and the job description.
Yeah, even a lot of these agencies, when you work with the assigned reps, they don't mind helping and telling you, like, hey, put this in there, put that in there. They'll look at
Yeah.
if they have time. Some are in a rush and they're overwhelmed because and that's another reason why the rate has went down is because a lot of people are looking for work.
Okay.
Yeah, so if they don't have to
Gotcha.
raise that
Supply and
bar,
demand.
yeah, pretty much.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
Mhm.
that's good advice. I noticed looking at your LinkedIn profile that uh your HP job, it has like a little LinkedIn icon next to it and it
Mhm.
says LinkedIn helped me get this job.
Mhm.
Tell me how you got your job at HP. How'd that kind of come about?
Yeah, so In full transparency, like, quite a few, when COVID hit. And, one of my last contracts that I had, it didn't renew, and I was on unemployment. So during this time, I took a pivot and I said, "Okay, I'm going to educate myself during this time, all things." And, apply to jobs, and it just wasn't landing. Literally, I kid you not, probably a month before my unemployment went out, someone reached out to me on LinkedIn. And I was like, okay, all day, every day, people are hitting you up, whether you have a job or not. But I was like, all right. But it was a brother. So I was like, okay, you better be talking about something. And because it was HP and because it was a full-time job, I was, a little shocked, but I was like, okay, but Brittney, why not? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why aren't you ready for something like that? But, I was shocked and I was like, is this real? So conversation, just real casual, straight to the point. And the crazy thing is I went through the motion. I interviewed with the manager. He loved me. Then it was time to interview with his team members. I met with two of them, interviewed. They loved me. I met with another. It didn't go so well. So I was like, okay. So it circled back around. The recruiter called me back and he was like, hey, and I didn't hear anything for a long time. I was like, what's going on? So I finally, in short, find out that I didn't get the role. But I was like, all right, God, if it's not meant, then, I trust you. Fast forward to maybe like a week later, the recruiter calls me back and he was like, Brittney, I've never seen anything like this before, because me and the manager, we really vibe. He was cool. He said the hiring manager that initially, found you and fell in love with your resume, he's coming here to Houston. He wants to meet you. So I said, okay. So I went and I met him, and I actually met the guy who I
Call
don't
didn't
know.
go well with.
Probably didn't go well with. And it wasn't anything personal. It just, my skill set probably wasn't aligned for that role,
I
right? It
got
was
you.
probably a little bit more tech savvy than me being more business savvy.
Okay.
So, but it all worked out. He said, Brittney, in so many words, I like you. I feel that you extend the qualities of someone who, belongs here at HP. And he showed up with a list of roles for me to check out. So as I walk out of this meeting room, myself and the HP recruiter, we go to the side, and he's like, "Hey, let's do it." So he literally took time out of his day, and I applied to like 3 roles, and this word engagement just like stood out to me. I'm like, my spirit is just leaning towards this. I don't know why. So I applied to I told him, I think I picked like 3, but I think it was like end of the week, and I didn't hear anything. And then he circled back. He was like, "Hey, Brittney, we got a call and feedback." So I interviewed for this second role. And all the other roles, I had to be on camera and professional. But this one, by the grace of God, like the manager, who is my manager now, he was traveling and I didn't have to be on camera. So it was just a conversation. But there was another recruiter that was over this role, but it was
Okay.
another sister.
Okay.
I'm telling you why representation is so
Yeah.
important. So, I went through the whole process, and then I finally got feedback, and I learned that he really liked me. I interviewed with someone else who is adjacent to that role, and my manager just wanted someone else to, really interview me from that team. And the recruiter, she called me back and she was like, they like you. In short, we're going to extend an offer. So I'm like, okay, yes, I'm excited.
Yeah.
So at this time, I'm like, okay, God, what does this look like? Money wise, because now I'm stepping from a 9 to 5 world, right? Excuse me, contracting world to a 9 to 5, and you have to take a lot into consideration. But in short, they took care of me. I'm happy.
Nice.
And I didn't have to do anything, but it was extremely strategic as far as them looking forward to including diversity, and it still is to HP today.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm glad that worked out that way, but it's just like so you keep mentioning God. It's like so many points in there where it's like, yo, this is not typical normal stuff. Where it's like signs of divine intervention or something. So it's like I think it's crazy. Like so, the guy that you interviewed with initially that fell in love with you didn't even hire you. He's not your manager. He just
No.
felt like that connection where he's like, yo, I can't let Brittney not join HP.
Yep.
That's crazy.
That's beyond crazy. I said, God, it could not be nobody but you.
Yeah. So he like
Yes.
literally just took time out of his day to have a meeting with you and be like, yo, here's some roles I think you should look at.
Doesn't even live in Texas. Just, yep.
That's crazy. Okay. Awesome. Okay. That's dope.
That's God.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congrats. I'm so glad that worked out for you. You've been there for
I just hit 3 months.
3 months.
It
Okay.
feels like a long time, but because I just did my annual review, but I was like, wow, I've only been here since July. But I've been making moves over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. That's what's up. We always try to provide professional development advice. Was there any kind of like negotiation between you and HP once they did make the offer?
I trusted myself. I stepped out on faith, even though my unemployment was running out, and I did negotiate my offer. I didn't accept the initial offer.
Okay. Was it for increasing like salary or time off or?
Salary.
Okay. What advice or tips would you give, especially because we hear about like the gender pay gap and things like that? What advice would you give for others in general, but then also women in particular, when it comes to like negotiating?
Yeah.
How to be successful?
First, just trust yourself because, if you're interviewing and if you have the skill set, they're talking to you for a reason. They're taking time off.
Yeah.
And, just trust you coming to the table with something. Do not be fearful of negotiating. And probably most importantly, do your research.
Yeah.
Go on websites and see what are these roles going for. And guesstimate what that gap is. Don't take the first thing. And don't be fearful of having that engagement, going back and forth, because you're both just trying to land in a smart spot that's best for them, but most importantly, what's best for you.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, I'd imagine it's like it can be an awkward conversation talking about money.
I was a little nervous at first. I was like, I don't want y'all to say no. I need this.
That's the part where everybody's like, I guess it's like you're scared to ask because you're almost scared they're gonna like rescind the offer and be like, no, you know what? We're gonna go with the cheaper person.
Yeah. I mean,
Has it happened to you before?
When I was contracting, yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
When I was contracting, some may say, but what I will say is if an agency contacts you, just ask them straight up, what's the asking amount? Like, don't let them ask you, what's your going rate? No, what is the asking amount for the role? Because the organization that has hired the agency, they have already put a dollar amount on their head, and the agency is going to take a portion of it, and then you get the rest. So you're pretty much deciding and negotiating with this agency on, what can give or take. That's not in black and white, meaning, all agencies are different, but for the most part, that's how I go.
Okay. Okay. I could definitely see a point where like, let's say Chevron hires an agency and they're gonna say, hey, we'll pay them $100 an hour, or we'll pay the agency $100 an hour, and the agency is asking you how much will you take. They might have budgeted $80 or $85 an hour, but you're like, I'll take $70 an hour.
Right.
So you just basically get an agency $10, $15 an hour.
Right. So which was hard during COVID because it hit a lot of people and a lot of people needed to work. So if someone needed to feed their family or whatever the case may be, they were willing to take something, like you said, maybe $50, when in pre-COVID, you're like, okay, I still got these pre-COVID bills.
Yeah.
I got to figure it out.
I feel you. Man, that's tough.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yo, I'm glad it worked out for you at HP. Like, I think you're in a great spot. I saw that HP, well, it's been a while now, but they're headquartered now here in Houston. Doing my research, I saw that you are multi-talented, real estate agent, licensed esthetician, actress, all of that. So I'm glad you're in a position where like you're at a great company that has sustainability and they can allow you to extend your runway while you're building out whatever your long-term dreams are or
Right.
long-term goals are.
Mhm.
Since I brought that up, what are your long-term goals and dreams? Are we gonna be seeing you like on the big screen? Are we gonna be hearing you on the radio? We're gonna be like, what's like your long-term vision and goal?
You know what? I'm not even gonna hold you. The God honest truth is I'm really just taking one day at a time. I know if someone were to hear all of those things and those different titles, some may say, does she not know what she wants to do? But in reality, I definitely know that I like and enjoy being a businesswoman, but I also
Yeah.
learn and enjoy about knowing or educating myself in those different lanes, right? So I don't know what God has in store, but I do trust that, even some of those things that you've mentioned and the things that I do, I feel that it'll come full circle. Now the timeline, I don't know. But it definitely would be a dream, right? To be on TV. Yes. So and I train myself for that. But real estate, I jumped in and learned that. So I just hit my 2-year mark on that. Now, at what capacity I see myself doing real estate in the future? I see myself prayerfully shifting towards an investment side and not like a day to day,
Yeah.
realtor. Now, if it comes to like my family, like I was helping family today, I enjoy doing that. And that's really the part that I enjoy about real estate is really educating like my people because there's opportunity out there. But if it's not translated and relatable, then some of us are just missing out, right? Or some of us are jumping into things that we shouldn't be jumping into. But if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's great. There's definitely the big education component is always important.
Hmm.
And I think it's great. I like the investment side of things as well. I bought my first house a few years ago now, I think. And that's like what I've always had my eye on is like, I want like a multiplex or an
Hmm.
apartment one
Hmm.
day.
Hmm.
So I think it's great that that's like what you're working towards.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about like the importance or the value of like being able to work at a great company at HP
Hmm.
or any great job that can pay the bills while you're still like figuring out the other side of not everybody can work on whatever they're most passionate about to pay the bills.
Hmm.
For those of us who do have other interests, we're all figuring this out. Like I still don't know. I have a better idea today than what I did 5 years ago as far as like
Hmm.
what I want to be when I grow up. But
Hmm.
we're all still figuring this thing out, right?
Yeah.
So kind of talk to me about like the importance of having a job that can help sustain and help you provide while you're still figuring the rest out.
Absolutely. You know, I've had the most breathing room as far as security is concerned a long time. And it does, even though, me having my full-time job at HP affords me the time and the money, to explore things that I do enjoy doing. I still make sure, that I show up and give my all to them because they take care of me and they treat me right in all things. But I think even you having a 9 to 5 and doing things outside of that, whether it is your creative side, it does come full circle because you show up as a whole person. You show up happy. You show up just in your most authentic way. But yes, having a 9 to 5 that makes sense for you financially, it allows you to be more efficient. It allows you the mental space and capacity to give your all at your 9 to 5 and then also, have those breaks in uh, just mental space to be creative. If
Yeah.
you, if you're hustling and bustling and chasing the next check, it is extremely hard to have any type of any type of creative space. Can you do it? Yes, but how you show up? Oh man, yeah, you're gonna look real broken.
Yeah.
I've been there.
The financial
I'm a little.
stress.
I'm still coming out.
Oh, you are?
No, no, no. I'm just saying. I mean, yeah, I just had my job 3 months,
Oh
but
yeah, you're right. You're right. 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 I got
yeah.
you. No, I get it. And I mean, it goes back to, I get why you say like, um, I checked out your journey a little bit on YouTube as well. So I get why you say like, if I would have reached out like 4 or 5, 6 months ago, it would have been completely different. Brittney,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you'd have been in the valley.
Oh
Like,
man.
nah, I'm not ready to be on camera. talking about what I'm going through at the moment.
Listen, decisions had to be made, a lot of sacrifices. Yeah, it was real.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How do you feel now? You are in a good spot financially with your job, I'm assuming, unless you want to tell us exactly how much money you make.
Mm-mm.
You like things are on the up and up there, like for the job.
Mm-hmm.
You still have like you're in acting school, things are progressing there.
Mm-hmm.
Like how do you feel like you're at, I guess, currently? Like are you satisfied or are you still
In my life.
Yeah.
I'm happy and I'm at peace. I think that's the best word that can really describe it. Not anxious. I'm able to rest.
Yeah.
I'm able to show up and for my job and give my all and I don't feel taken advantage of, that I've probably experienced maybe at other places where you feel depleted, you feel underpaid, or you feel that it's not making sense financially. You're just hustling and bustling. I feel that I'm able to show up as a better daughter, a friend. Just I'm able to show up just a better Brittney.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice. I'm imagining you're in a space where you're in a lot of business rooms and business meetings where you might be the only Black woman in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. How do we
but
get
not as much?
Not as much? Well, that's good
Yeah.
to find out.
Uh-huh.
But how do we like increase the number, in your opinion? How do we go about getting more Black women and Black men to like these
spaces?
I
do think representation is important, and I know that I spoke on that, and that was extremely huge as far as me being able to get into HP. So first, an organization just really has to be intentional, right? But you also, you can't just get in the door because of the color of your skin. You have to make sure you're showing up and doing your part. And I know sometimes we may have to do a little bit extra, but you should know that already, and you should be prepared and exercise that muscle, right? We always know that, sometimes you have to put a little extra sauce on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you. No, I think that's important. I think it's definitely a two-part, at least two different angles to attack it from. One is like personal and professional development, but then also, like you said, the intentionality of these corporations, like making sure that they're making a legit effort to like find the talent that is there, like yourself, and then also making sure that we as collectively are doing the part on our own behalf,
right,
to advocate for ourselves and make sure we have the skill set that's necessary.
Right. That's right.
So
and network, just ask.
That's a major key.
Just ask. Just strike up a conversation. If you don't know, just ask. No matter, even if it doesn't feel like you're asking the right thing, just ask. Just ask.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Nice. I love it. Man, so B, it's been about an hour.
Yes, the time has flew by.
Yeah, it did. I had a lot of fun though.
Yeah.
I can't let you get out the seat first without you first telling people how they can find you, and then also giving any shout outs that you want to give or anything like that.
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram. Now, don't judge me. I have not been active, but you just heard my whole story. So I'm just now getting it together. But you can definitely find me on Instagram, and it's at Brittney, BRITTNEY, Waiters, WAITERS. Also on LinkedIn, of course. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome.
Oh, and YouTube. But I don't think I'm searchable yet. I need to up my numbers.
Let them know. What's the like the handle or whatever?
It's Brittney Waiters.
Brittney Waiters.
I think it is. Yeah.
They can find you.
Yeah.
I found you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I saw your whole real estate vlog and all that.
Me.
On YouTube. It's easy. Brittney Waiters.
And it popped up.
Yeah, your avatar or your picture is like the same as LinkedIn, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, look at God.
Look at him.
Yes.
Look at him. That's how I found out about the esthetician stuff and everything.
So you heard my little story.
Yeah. Hey, so you got some tips for me, like on my I don't know, my wife be like, yo, you need to like up your skincare routine, and I'm like, what in the hell is going on with this? But if you got tips, let me know.
First, listen to your wife. That's tip number one.
Okay. All right.
But
The sisters gonna look out for each other.
she got you. She's telling you, but I mean, in short, just really take care of your skin, exfoliate, put your sunscreen on. Don't be afraid of getting a facial, especially for men, because I know a lot of times there's ingrown skin. So treat yourself. There's nothing wrong with stepping into that world at least maybe once a month. I think barbers are like stepping it up now where they give that whole experience now, right? Sometimes.
My barber don't do that.
Why?
But he making a lot of money anyway just from cutting hair. Like, it's ridiculous what
Oh,
they.
okay.
But anyway,
Yeah.
but no, okay, I'll consider that. She been telling me to get a facial for a minute now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll still be like doing my own blackheads and everything. She be like, nah, you
Oh,
shouldn't
she
be
done
doing
it
that.
for you.
It's fulfilling. I like doing it myself, to be honest. Kind
She
of
like, go do what I said.
yeah. So, but yeah, no, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna
No,
check it out.
it's noticeable. I can tell when a man does it.
Really? Okay.
Mhm.
I'm gonna try it. I
Yeah.
want that baby's skin,
Just
so.
do it. It'll. I promise you'll enjoy it.
All right. But anyway, y'all go check out Brittney on YouTube. She's documenting the whole process. Real estate, esthetician, cybersecurity, all of that stuff. So
Yeah.
make sure you check her out. I appreciate you guys for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, make sure you subscribe. Also, make sure you check us out next week for another great episode. I appreciate it. And we'll catch you all next week. Peace.